Welcome to Realtor Life. I'm Krystal Lee Moore, Lucier, also known as your Home Sweet Home 519 Realtor, Krystal Lee Moore, and I'm so happy you're here. Today, we're going to be talking about how we do things, and how you do anything is how you do everything. We're also going to be talking about negotiation and how budget principles can actually change your life. And finally, how to get motivated when you need a little extra. So firstly, how you do anything is how you do everything. I first heard this way back when I was at a conference in Mississauga with a fellow named Colin Sprake. And he was really popular in Guelph and in London back in like 2016, 2017. And I remember he said, how you do anything is how you do everything. And it is so true. Sometimes we can say, oh, like I only do, I'm really organized and I'm neat, but my office is messy, or I budget my money for business, but not personally. So it really comes down to it. Eventually, bad habits will flow into other parts of your life, but also eventually good habits will flow into other parts of your life. So the key is just to kind of try to get everything going in the right direction at the same time. Baby steps are key. You're not going to change your life overnight, but with Buffini, they like to focus on the 5 circles. We've talked about them before, and those 5 circles are spiritual, family, personal, business, and financial. So as long as you're kind of making even small strides every day towards where you want to be, you will get there. So now we're going to go into negotiation. So as entrepreneurs, as realtors, negotiation is really important. And sometimes it's hard to tell exactly what that means. I always kind of make light of the fact that I'm really great at negotiating for clients, and I'm not so great at negotiating for myself. And that's because once I want something, I want it, and I also feel bad about haggling. My husband is a very good negotiator when it comes to purchases, and so it's something I'm working on it, but it's tough. It's always tough for yourself, but I find it's a little easier when you're negotiating for other people. Chris Voss wrote the book Never Split the Difference, and if you have a chance to listen to Chris, he pretty cool guy. He was an FBI negotiator. I'm not the biggest fan of his Audible audiobook. I find he has a lot to offer. There's something about that book, though, the way it's read, it lacks a little oomph or something. So Never Split the Difference, the actual book itself, the written book, is really good. But he also has a masterclass. If you've ever wanted to learn about a variety of topics, masterclass is pretty cool. I first heard about it in 2020, and they have classes on everything. They have singing classes, they have cooking classes, fashion, negotiation, really kind of the world is your oyster. I'm sure that they will keep expanding, but masterclass is pretty cool. You do need a subscription for that. So if you also just want a free sampling of what Chris has to offer, there's a few things on YouTube. He has a TED Talk, but he also has a really cool interview on YouTube where he just kind of talks about some of the negotiation principles. He talks about tone of voice, and he also talks about the 3 types of outcomes that you want in a negotiation. Sometimes the one that he says is really most ineffective is the one that most people lean into, and that's kind of where you're trying to win. You're being aggressive, you're really trying to get what you want, and you might get what you want, but the other person might end up walking away feeling not so great, and that's not always good. But you do want kind of that calm approach, and I definitely encourage you to take a look at YouTube at Chris Voss, and Never Split the Difference, if you are a reader, is a great book. So then we're going to go into budget principles and how they can change your life. So I know we talked last time about the importance of budgeting, and it's one of those things that always makes you feel like you're restrictive, but it doesn't have to. And so again, how you do anything is how you do everything. When I looked at what I was doing in my life, whether it's with money, tracking calories, even managing time, we have this set number of something. And the only way to get more of it is either to earn more or to manage yourself better. So when it comes down to budgeting, you have your set amount of budget, and the way to get more money is to earn more money. But in a situation where earning more money maybe isn't possible or isn't feasible, how can you make the most out of what you have? And it really comes down to understanding the fundamentals of kind of spending versus investing. I'm reading a book right now called Financial Fitness. Really cool principles. Nothing really that I haven't heard before. I just like the way it's set out. So Financial Fitness is good. But the key with all of these, whether it's money, whether it's fitness, whether it's calories, whether it's time, only borrow from the past. And what I mean from that is if you let's say you want something extra, you don't have to get into this mindset that we've gotten into as a culture where you're borrowing to get it now. So instant gratification, you want it now, you don't have the money, you're going to borrow it. But what if you just didn't? What if you didn't spend something today and you kept that up for a month? Then all of a sudden you've built this accumulation. And if at that time you decide that that's the money that you want to spend on this item, great, that's fantastic. Go ahead, you've earned it. But if you also decide that you want to keep that money and invest it because you think there's something more important in your future and you want it to grow, then that's what you should do too. So it really is, it comes down to making decisions every day. The sentence or the quote that I just heard was that no single snowflake takes responsibility for an avalanche. And that's Voltaire. So it's interesting. We don't think about the little decisions, the little steps. We don't think about how every action has a reaction, and enough things in a row, like the straw that breaks the camel's back, no one knows that next straw is going to be the straw. And so when it comes down to small decisions, whether it's deciding to go to another restaurant, whether it's about having another piece of cake, whether it's about adding one more thing onto your plate, even though you know that you have no time, it really comes down to what does that avalanche look like for you? Like if the avalanche is that your health is at risk, or that you have to declare bankruptcy, or that you burn out, like those are big deal things. And so you just want to, I think we all want to try and learn how to manage things better without feeling like you're in a restrictive situation, without choosing it. I'm also listening to another book, which is really cool, called The Psychology of Money. And they talk about the fact that money itself doesn't actually change your level of happiness. Like there's a certain number. I think I've heard it was like $100,000. So if you earn $100,000, kind of your happiness goes up to that point, and after 100, really, like there's no difference in your happiness. And this book actually says that your happiness is dictated by your level of freedom. So if you feel like you're free to do what you want, kind of when you want, and you have that autonomy, your happiness goes up. And more we're hearing from wealthy people that say that the joy comes from being able to decide what you want to do. If you want to go on a trip, if you want to go golfing on a Thursday, like whatever it is, you could actually be happier. Maybe not with more, but you might be happier because you can do more. And I think that's where the allure of being an entrepreneur comes from, because all of a sudden, like you're in charge of your own schedule, sort of. I think we all understand that our clients can sometimes be in charge of our schedule, but you ultimately are the boss. So if you figure it out and you master that scheduling, you get to be the one who decides. You also get to be in charge of your own finances and your own health. So it sounds great as long as you do it right. Sometimes you can be the best boss, sometimes you can be the worst boss. I'm taking my MBA right now, and my professor, he's self-employed as well, and he made that comment yesterday. He's like, sometimes his boss is the worst boss ever, which is extra funny when you are the boss. So that is kind of budget principles, and then getting motivated when you're kind of in a slump. And there's a Dr. Seuss book that Brian Buffini referenced in a talk at one of our conferences last year, and it was, unslumping yourself is not easily done. So if you're in a slump, if you're just not feeling it, what can you do to get yourself out of it? And it's a very different thing for everyone. Tony Robbins says, like, motion is actually the driver of emotion. So if you really want to feel better, move your body, go for a walk, go to the gym. I'm a big fan of those things. But maybe it's as much as just like watching something that will really just get you going. If you look up on YouTube, Kiala Settle, This Is Me, it was on the set, like the backstory, really cool video. So this is from The Greatest Showman, and when we were at a conference for Buffini a few years ago, Brian told us the story and then shows us the video. And so it's kind of a behind the scenes video. Basically, they had been working on The Greatest Showman. If you haven't seen the movie, please do. It's so good. But they've been working on this movie, and then Hugh Jackman had to go and get surgery. So it was an emergency surgery. He had to have something removed, and so he couldn't sing. And they were going to get this project greenlit, because that's what you do. You have to go and you have to kind of sing the song, show the money people that they should invest. And Kiala Settle, beautiful voice, very shy. She had never, apparently up until this point, kind of gotten out from behind the music stand. So she'd sing, kind of shy, not sure. But all of a sudden, the fate of this movie rests on her shoulders. And you actually see it happen. She talks about it right before in the interview, if you look it up, but you see it happen where she realizes, like, she has to do this. And everyone in the room, like, they're just all like on edge, just watching her, like, is it going to happen? Brian suggests that you watch the piano player, because you can really see the whole emotion in this guy's face as he's like hoping that he's going to have a job for the next little while and he'll get paid. But she just knocks it out of the park, and it's an emotional video. But that's something like that, like, it's maybe 4 minutes of your life, but it can bring you from feeling so to feeling so inspired. And same thing, there's a video called Forest City Fights Back and the Lean On Me Canadian artist version. These are both videos that were made during COVID. So all of the artists actually had to record their parts of the songs. It's for Fight Song and Lean On Me. I believe Lean On Me was a tribute to Bill Withers, but both of these are amazing because you see everyone, it was like this, we're all in this together, beautiful tribute. And I don't know about you guys, but it's really been hitting me in the last week. My husband and I are watching 911 on Disney, and they just had a whole season that kind of happened during COVID. So for a while after COVID, nobody was really acknowledging that it happened. They were just like, okay, no one's doing it. But this was actually like, these were first responders in the thick of it during COVID. And it really just reminded me, number one, that what a resilient group of humans we all are. But also, like, we got through something and we haven't really acknowledged it. Like, there's some very low level PTSD still going on. But when you watch these two, so Forest City Fights Back and Lean On Me, just the power of music, the power of people, the power of just gratitude and love, it's amazing. That's what does it for me. Like, those are the motivational things. Sometimes it's writing down gratefuls, sometimes it's getting together. Laughter always helps, but really it's figuring out what's going to make you want to take that next step, like what's going to bring that motivation within you. Zig Ziglar says motivation is like bathing. It does not last daily, or it doesn't last, so you have to do it daily. And that's the thing, like the human condition, we do need to be motivated. And for me, something that also helps, and Buffini also suggests this, it's the little goals, building momentum. I don't know how many list makers we have out there, but I love making a list and checking off that I did something. It just gives you a little rush and it's amazing, but it makes you want to do more things. And so those are kind of a big deal. So to recap, number one, how you do anything is how you do everything. Definitely get educated on the art of negotiation. It is our job. Our livelihood depends on it, and our clients depend on us for it. So really getting better at negotiation and finding ways all the time. Even if you think you're a master negotiator, I'm sure there are things that you could learn. I know there are things I can learn. There's always more to learn out there, and that's what makes it beautiful to be able to learn from each other. Never Split the Difference is Chris Voss's book, and I would definitely recommend that YouTube video, his interview. How Budget Principles Can Change Your Life. So remember, only borrow from the past. So if you have 20 minutes and you know it takes you 10 minutes to get somewhere, you really shouldn't be doing something else that takes you 15 minutes. That message is specifically for myself, but also for anyone else that tries to fit too much in. If you really want to do two things, get up earlier, or do one thing and do the other one later. And then also just make sure that you are staying motivated. Figure out what drives you, what helps you be at your best, because the people around you also deserve you to be at your best. So if you're not doing those things and you're kind of just, if you're that negative Nelly that people just, if you're draining people's energy, that's not good. You want to be the one that kind of lifts people up. And don't just save it for clients. Don't just save it for friends. Your family, your clients, your colleagues, your friends, everyone needs a little boost, and you get to be that person. And then you're allowed to have down days, of course, but try to do what you can to bring yourself into a good state. And that's it. So if you guys have any questions, I'm always happy to help. It is Krystal Lee Moore, Lucier, your home sweet home 519 Realtor. Krystal Lee Moore. Thanks for listening.